Hello, this is Gair and Karunatillake, Lesson 2, Section 1. In this clip, I'll be looking at the three verses from the Dhammapada, which appear at the top of page 14. The first two, you should have this in the Kelly translation as well. The first two are from chapter 14, they're 14 verses 4 and 5. That's verses 182 and 183, the consecutive numbering of the Dhammapada. And the third one is from chapter 1, verse 5. Kicho manusapatilabho, kicham machanam jivitam, kichang saddham savanam, kicho buddhanam pado. Kicho is an adjective, here kicho because it's masculine singular nominative, agreeing with patilabho. Kicho, it means difficult, something difficult to bear, difficult to endure, but also it means difficult, and that's how it's used here, difficult in the sense of not easily obtained, rare, difficult to obtain. So kicho, hard to obtain, is the manusa, mankind, patilabho. Labho means the obtaining of something, labho, with the prefix pati that doesn't really add anything to the meaning here. It often happens in Pali, you get words whose meaning are greatly changed by the addition of one of these verbal prefixes. In this case, it doesn't really make a difference. You could just as well say manusa labho. Labho is the same root from the Greek lambino, the lamb, which comes into Latin as labor. So Sanskrit and Pali, labha, obtaining, and in Latin the root is labor, which we have as labor. That same root, lab. It's the idea of of course in modern English it means working. It means you're working to get something. The idea is you have an object to achieve in your work, but the original meaning is the actual getting of it, rather than the labor you put in for the getting of it. So manusa, cognate with English, our English word man. So difficult is the obtaining of a human status. In other words, it's the precious human life, the human birth, the personhood obtaining, the manusa patilabho is kicho. It is difficult to obtain human birth. The second line, kicham machanam jivitam. Jivitam, literally life. It's from the root jiv, meaning to live. Machanam, macha is in Sanskrit it is martya. It means mortal. Let's see, the mar, that same root is mortal, martya, which then by normal phonetic change becomes macha in Pali. The word for death in Sanskrit is mrityu, which in Pali is machu, and the word for dead in Sanskrit is mrita, which in Pali is mata. Note that this is made with the vowel mutation. Mri becomes mar, and the adding of a ya at the ra. So martya doesn't mean dead. It means you're destined for death. In other words, exactly mortal, Latin mortalis, mortal, as opposed to mortuus, which is actually dead. So martya, mortal. So kicham machanam jivitam. So Jivitam, life for mortals is difficult, or it is difficult to obtain. It means if you are a mortal, remember that the life you have got has been difficult to obtain. It could have a double meaning here. Either remember that since you are mortal, the nikitcham jivitam, what you have obtained is a very difficult thing. They're reminding you how lucky you are now, or reminding you that for the future, you've got to work very hard in order to achieve life, since you are mortal, to achieve new life. It could, the way it's put here, it could have both meanings. So, kitcham machanam jivitam, difficult or difficult to obtain. Jivitam is life. Machanam, as a genitive plural, for mortals. Kitcham Dhamma Savanam. Savanam means hearing, and it's from the Sanskrit root shru. We know that the shru is to hear, the root. We know this we've had in lesson one the savakas from that same root. In Sanskrit, it is Shravaka, which means a hearer or a listener. It's given, translated in the previous lesson as a disciple of the Buddha, but the basic root meaning is a hearer, one who comes to hear or to listen. The verbal noun, got Savaka as one who hears, and the verbal noun in Sanskrit is Shravana, and in Pali it's just Savana. It simply means hearing. So Saddhamma Savanam, Dhamma Savanam, the Dhamma hearing, the hearing of the Dhamma, and the Saddhamma, we did this in the previous lesson, is the true law or the good law. So it is difficult in the sense of it's a rare opportunity. So it's a rare opportunity. It is only rarely that you can get to hear the good law. So kitcham Saddhamma Savanam, difficult is the true law hearing. And finally, Kicho Buddhanam Uppado. Uppado is the arising, which we have in Paticca Samuppada, nominative and Paticca Samupado, same word, which is dependent co-arising. Samupado, co-arising, Paticca dependent. So Uppado, the arising, Buddhanam, again genitive plural, of Buddhas. So Kicho, again in the meaning of it's a rare event, difficult in the sense of doesn't often happen, it's a rare event. So Kicho Buddhanam Uppado, meaning it is rare for Buddhas to arise. So it's a rare event when a Buddha comes into being. Now the second verse. Sabba papassa akaranam kusalassa upasampada sachitta pariyodapanam etam buddhana sasanam. Now, sabba papassa akaranam, from the root kar, Sanskrit kr, often mostly becomes kar in Pali. So kar, do, and make a verbal noun out of it, the doing, karanam, and akaranam, the non-doing. Just the negating prefix akaranam, the non-doing. Sabba papassa. Sabba, all, and we saw this in the last lesson, papa, meaning evil, often translated as sin, but evil is probably a broader, better word for it. Sabba, meaning all, is an adjective. This could linguistically easily, equally correctly have been put as sabbassa papassa, of all evil, putting both in the genitive. You can do that, or you can run the adjective into the noun and make a compound. Sabbapapassa. They're equally correct, and they have the same meaning. So this means the akaranam, the non-doing, sabbapapassa, of all evil. Kusalassa upasampada. Upa, the sampad, is the same root, this pad here, as the uppado, the arising, buddhanam uppado. Upa sampada, sampad on its own, the root pad meaning going or coming to be, achieving something, sampad, achieving something, upasampad, again, the meaning of achieving it. By the way, the upasampada in modern Theravada Buddhism means the ordination of the monk. It's the achieving of full monk status. So here, kusalasa, of the wholesome, the kusalasa upasampada, the achieving or placing yourself firmly in kusala, in what is wholesome. Sachitta paryodapanam. Sachitta, one's own mind. In Sanskrit, the root for a prefix meaning one's own, oneself, is swa, and that becomes sa in Pali. And both then Sanskrit and Pali would have been sachitta, one's own mind. Pariyodapana, I don't think I'll bother you here with the full analysis of the word. It involves a slightly not very common root. Don't trouble with it. It just means pariyodapanam, just means purification. So sachitta pariyodapanam, pariyodapanam, purification, sachitta, one's own mind. Just as in the first verse, sabbapapassa akaranam, you've got the akaranam, the non-doing, and then, as we'd say in English, of all evil, put in the genitive sabbapapassa. In this line, it's done in an alternative way, equally correct. It could have also been said, the pariyodapanam, the purification, sachittassa, of one's own mind. But equally correctly, you can put it all into one compound, own mind purification, which is what's on here, sachitta pariyodapanam, meaning the purification of one's own mind. And incidentally, in the first line, sabbapapassa akaranam, could equally linguistically correctly have been put as sabbapapa karanam, sabbapapa akaranam, sabbapapa karanam, with no difference of meaning. Etam buddhana sasanam. Sasanam means teaching. Those of you who are familiar at all with anything Hindu will have heard of the Shastras, which are some of the teaching texts, often written as the Shastras. It's from the root shas, meaning to teach, and this is our suffix tra, which means a tool or an implement or a means for doing something. So a shastra basically means a teaching aid, a tool or a thing by which one teaches. And a way of forming a verbal noun, just teaching, as in we have pariyodapanam, akaranam, shasanam, this anam ending, making a verbal noun, which of course in Pali just becomes sasanam. So buddhanam sasanam, the teaching of the Buddhas. Etam buddhana sasanam, this is the teaching of the Buddhas, genitive plural. You'll see in the fourth line of this middle verse that the M, subdotted M, is placed in brackets. That is because the normal genitive plural ending for an a noun is anum with an m at the end. Occasionally you can get away with dropping off the m. It's slightly cheating, it's very rare, and you will find that it's done in poetry sometimes because they need to shorten the syllable. So Buddhana Sasanam is how it's always read. There's this bracketed M you'd never find in an originally produced Pali text. It's just the same as Buddhanam Sasanam. It's like, for his poets, we've got the root ever, but sometimes in poetry you will see it written as air because he just wants one syllable rather than two. It's exactly the same as has been done here. Now on to the third verse, the one from chapter 1, verse 5. Nahi verena verani sammanti kudachanam verena cha sammanti esa dhammo sanantano. So let me look first at the sammantida. Sammantida is actually two words, sammanti, idha just meaning here, and here meaning in human life, in this world, in the world in which we're living, in our lived experience, idha. Sammanti, you already know this word, you may not know it yet, is the Sanskrit root sham, meaning the root meaning is to be peaceful or calm. We know it in the shanti, calming, meaning peace. Om shanti, shanti, shanti. We have it in the Sanskrit shamatha, Pali samatha, as in the meditation practice, which literally just means calming. The verb, they calm down, or they are put to rest, is sammanti. For those of you wondering why is the M doubled, give you a bit more grammar here. Root is sham. There is what's known as the class 4 of verbs. This is a class 4 verb, where it conjugates in the normal regular way, but it adds a y after the final letter of the root. So you'd have expected to see in Sanskrit shamanti, but it's shamyanti. Some verbs are just like that. Pad is another one. You don't say utpadati, but utpadyati, and in Pali upajjati. We'll deal in more detail with that later. So shamyanti, they do sham, they calm down, they're put to rest by normal phonetic mutation, becomes sammanti in Pali. So hatreds calm down, verani sammanti. Veram in the nominative singular, it's a neuter noun, so it's an not o. The plural of the neuter is ani. So verani, hatreds sammanti, hatreds cease, or literally calm down, translated as hatreds cease. Sammanti idha, cease in this life, cease here, by santi, the e followed by another word, an e merges into a long e. So sammantita is simply sammanti new word idha, in Sanskrit and Pali, sammantidha. Verena, the ena you'll recognize as the instrumental singular ending. Verena, by hatred. Kudachanam, kuda means when. If you add chanam onto the end, it's an indefinite. So kin means what. So kinchana means any what, it means anything. Kuda, when. Kudachanam means whenever, at any time. And in the negative, it means never. Now this verse starts with a negative, na. So na kudachanam, literally not any when, means not at any time, never. The he is an emphatic particle, and in the present case, in the present verse, it doesn't just mean hatred will not cease by hatred. By putting it as nahi verena verani samanti means more like, you know, it is not. You're contradicting a misconception or putting it misconception. Ooh, if I hate back, the hate will go away. That's fine. This is saying no. It is not. Nahi. It is not by hatred that hatreds will cease. Nahi verena verani samantida kudachanam. So in this life, ita nahi, not verena by hatred, verani sammanti, hatreds cease, kudachanam, at any time, basically saying there's no exception to that rule. Averena cha, so the averena, called verena by hatred, averena, that's the negating a by non-hatred. So averena cha, sammanti. Sammanti, that same verb, will cease, they cease. Averena cha sammanti. You don't need to translate the cha here. Literally and is just stuck in here. Averena sammanti. By non-hatred they calm down. By non-hatred they cease. Esa, this, nominative singular, dhammo we know, is like, here means law or teaching. Sanantano. Sanantano. How is it translated? It means like eternal. How is it translated? Sanantana, eternal, old, ancient. Yeah, ancient actually is nearer the mark. The Sanantano. There's that text, was it Valpura Rahule, or I forget the one, the author, the Buddha's Ancient Path. It's the Sanantano. Sanantano is from, actually, it's from the Sanskrit adjective sana, meaning old. And in Latin, we have senis, meaning old, the Senate. We get senile as well, showing symptoms of extreme old age. That same sen, meaning old, is in sana, the Sanskrit, one of the Sanskrit words for old. In Sanskrit now, make an ablative out of sana, and you've got sanat, from old, which we can understand in English. This is how it's been from original times, from of old. And in Sanskrit, you make a further adjective out of this ablative, which is highly unusual, and it's done this way in Sanskrit. I'm just telling you about it because we'll see the word reasonably often. Sanatana, which in Pali has just become slightly corrupted to Sanantana. So Sanantana then is not just old, but existing from olden times, the eternal law, the law that has existed from of old. So what I'll do now, I will just read through these three verses slowly, and hopefully you'll be able to follow without too much reliance on the translation. Kicho manusapatilabho, kicham machanam jeevitam, kicham siddham savanam, kicho buddhanam uppado, sabbapapassa akaranam, kusalassa upasampada, sachitta pariyodapanam, etam buddhana sasanam. Nahi verena verani sammanti dha kudachanam, averena cha sammanti, esa dhammo sanantano. That's all on this clip then, and we will start on the next one at reading 2 on page 14.